We have John Bender on the air shortly. We also are going to have the phone lines open for anybody who wants to call up and talk to John, 504-556-9696. So, John, are you there?
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, man. You've almost become like our resident call-in guest and our resident journalist. You know, listen, I've seen your articles posted on not just my friends who are on the radio show. You know what I mean? Your articles are all over social media. I'm seeing people like and big entities and people totally like opposite of what you're talking about, posting stuff about what you say and at the Hayride. And again, for the new listeners, just give us a little background on your background, the Hayride affiliation, and what stories you're working on. You're cranking out so many stories, it's hard to keep up with it all. But what are you working on right now? We had a prior guest talking about the monuments and the situation there. So just give us the 411 on what's going on with you and what recent stories have been that you've been targeting.
Yeah, so basically I'm a reporter for the Hayride. The Hayride were like the leading conservative news site in the state of Louisiana. We're like the alternatives to, the Times-Picayune, the Advocate, the New Orleans Advocate, and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just this week with Mardi Gras, and today we had the group Take 'Em Down NOLA, this is the racial group that promotes the anti-monument agenda and whatnot for Mitch Landrieu. And they're talking about how the crew of Zulu and the crew of Rex, they're racist because the costumes that they're wearing, and they post the photos of them saying, oh well, the Rex crew members look like KKK leaders, because they're in white.
Yeah. It's like very I knew they were going to beat the drum, and you have to be from New Orleans to understand that. We had Mardi Gras yesterday, and these are some of the oldest crews in New Orleans, and it's like almost like the final day of Mardi Gras is like the perfect racial divide scenario, if you will. We have the all-black crew of Zulu preceding the predominantly all-white crew of Rex. Zulu is handing out coconuts. Rex is dressed in what they consider to be like Southern heritage-style garb, and it's all under the shadow of the Robert E. Lee statue at Lee Circle. And again, it's just so go ahead, John.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just going to say, and it's funny that this group comes out and says this all over their social media saying, these costumes need to be changed. They're racist because last week we had the Times-Picayune pick up the most ridiculous story imaginable, talking about how there was a black man with his child and they were thrown a bead with the Confederate flag on it.
Ooh,
and the Times-Picayune does an entire write-up about this drummed-up racial hysteria over a Mardi Gras bead.
I caught a Confederate flag bead yesterday in Jefferson Parish, believe it or not. They do throw those. Again, I mean, I guess it's a Southern thing, and, you're saying that this story is, they're looking for anything to, I guess, blow it out of proportion. But look, we got Nathan Lawrence, and the host who was not typically able to be here tonight. He's on the air. He's on the road right now. He'd like to talk to you, John, real quick, if you take a phone call there.
Yeah, cool.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah. How y'all doing tonight, man? I really want to say I appreciate you and Kayla for holding it down tonight. I couldn't make it. My daughter had a soccer game for her salon. It was a playoff game, and they won. They pulled it off against Episcopal 5-3.
There you go.
So Monday they're playing Sacred Heart, and if they win that, then I think it's one more game, then maybe they can make it to the state championship. But yeah, so I just want to give Ursuline a big shout out for that big victory. They won in overtime. Yeah, it's just it's really crazy how they're just trying to drum up any kind of racial division. That they can muster right now. I mean, it's really deplorable. Mm-hmm. I mean, but how do we counteract this, John?
Go ahead, John. What's your take?
I mean, I think the only way to counteract the stupidity of liberals is to have alternative media outlets like we have at the Hayride, because, I mean, it is always, it's outrage from liberals, from these elite corporate media outlets. It's these people that go into work at the, 10th floor of their building, and they don't know what is going on in the city. All they know is that a Confederate bead was was thrown to a black man, and we've got to write a story on that because that is just outrageous.
John,
nothing about real life.
John, are you gonna write a story about the Confederate bead?
Oh yeah, I had that last week.
Man, you're on top of it, man. It's interesting.